Welcome to Becoming a Friend of God, where we talk about practical ways to grow closer to God. I want to start by asking you a question. How do you overcome the temptations of the flesh? How do you stop yourself from giving into your fleshly desires? I know this is a deep question because a lot of people will say it's impossible. But Galatians 5 verses 16 through 18 says this: "But I say, walk by the Spirit, and you will not gratify the desires of the flesh. For the desires of the flesh are against the Spirit, and the desires of the Spirit are against the flesh. For these are opposed to each other to keep you from doing the things you want to do. But if you are led by the Spirit, you are not under the law." Well, as you can see in Galatians 5 verse 16, it makes it simple. If you want to not gratify the desires of your flesh, you must walk by the Spirit. You know, this reminds me of John chapter 15 verse 5, where Jesus talks about himself being the vine and us being the branches. And he reminds us and tells us that apart from him, we can do nothing. So yes, in your own strength, you are incapable of overcoming the desires of your flesh. And if you read in verse 17, it tells you that the desires of the flesh and the desires of the Spirit are against each other. They are opposed to each other. This means that there's a constant battle each and every day that we all go through when it comes to surrendering to our flesh or surrendering to the Spirit. And you know, I'm encouraged when I hear Galatians 5:16 when it talks about gratifying the desires of my flesh, because that tells me that even though I'm a Christian, even though I'm a man of God, I'm not bad for having fleshly desires. But it also tells me that just because I have fleshly desires doesn't mean I have to succumb to those desires. And then it gives me the key tip to being able to live a holy lifestyle consistently. And that is walking by the Spirit. And that's why daily I'm asking the Holy Spirit to lead and guide me. And I'm asking him to fill me afresh and anew each and every day. That's why I meditate on the word day and night. That's why I spend time in worship. That's why I spend time in God's presence, so I can cultivate an atmosphere of his Spirit. Because I understand, based on this word, that if I do not want to gratify the desires of my flesh, then I must be full of the Spirit. I must walk by the Spirit. It's the only way I can live holy. I can't do it in my own strength. So if you want to overcome the desires of your flesh and overcome temptation consistently, then you must walk by the Spirit. Because if not, you're going to give in to your flesh.